Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the SimZone. We are at a very dark Barcelona here for round 7 of the MOZA Racing GT3 Championship, and currently Campanella on provisional pole with a 143.827, 800ths quicker than Latonen and a 10th quicker than Faulkner, and this is pretty much the Ferrari challenge at the moment. I'm sure that's going to change for next season. The Ferrari is still a very strong car, and you usually see them towards the top, but I'm sure 100% that will change. Remember, our championship pretty much only started when the 1.9 came out, so the Ferrari is even quicker than it was, well, even quicker than it is now. So that doesn't help things, but yeah, Campanella is still on pole, and looks like Faulkner was a 10th up, but he's lost it somewhere. He's now 2 tenths down, 3 tenths down. He's only just started the lap, so that might be a wasted lap here for Faulkner. Senator down in P5, which is unusual, but he's 3 tenths up, and he does improve, but not enough to gain a position. So that's the top 5, all separated by 6 tenths. We got Latonen in the comments. He's obviously driving the Priya. And Paul Mitchell, good to see you guys. And looks like Senator pulling to the side of the track. Brenior is a 10th up. Approaching the final sector now is Brenior. Got, well, he's nearly within the second mark of the provisional pole to Campanella. But he is now 4 tenths up. He's found lots of time here, and Brenior is on for a very good lap here. He seems to have much more pace here than he has had at previous rounds, but he's half a second up. This is going to put him possibly around P4, so maybe on the front row. Let's see what Brenior can do as he crosses line. P4 it is there for Brenior, and pushes down Prinzi and Senator a position. So there we go. Looks like we've got Prinzi now out of the pits, moving out the way. Therefore, Brenior is currently on a lap, but I believe he's half a second down already into turn 1, so it's not going to be an improvement there for him. Taste looks like he was 4 tenths exiting the corner, but he's lost it all, and he's now down on his time, so that's not going to be an improvement for him. Motin 2 tenths up, and he is now approaching the final sector as well. And the final sector starts pretty much into the braking zone of this hairpin, or this left-hander. Now obviously here it is the old Barcelona layout. We do still have the chicane, and usually on bigger grids that does cause a lot of issues for drivers, and in fact it's already causing issues there for Motin as he mounts the curb. But still a valid lap here for Motin, 4 tenths up. It's not going to be enough to gain a position, but it is an improvement. And there we go, across the line, still in P9. Where is Hooschii? Hooschii 2 tenths up as he approaches this final chicane. He's 8 tenths off the pole sitter currently. So that's the top 7 all within a second. Taste just outside of it. But I don't think Hooschii is going to improve. He messed it up into that final chicane. And it's still Campanella on pole. So let's take a quick look at the standings then. So actually Campanella leading the championship on 505 points, just 1 point ahead of Letonen in P2. So it's down to the wire in the championship. And well, even in qualifying, they are P1 and P2 currently. So these two have been neck and neck throughout the whole championship. Neither of them missing around. And we've got Barcelona today. And next round we have Kyalami, which will be the last round of the season. But Faulkner in P3 then, not far off either. Very, very close as well. 497 points. Just 7 points behind Letonen and 8 points behind Campanella. So he's well within this championship fight as well. And he's currently sitting in P3 in this qualifying session. So in fact, P1, P2 and P3 in the qualifying session are exactly the same order in the championship as well. Which, a bit of a coincidence, but it goes to show why they are where they are in the standings. Senator in P4 in the championship, 435, with Prinzi P5 on 424 points. Bjorkvist isn't able to make it today on 399. Hatchain 7th on 372. Matt Jordan in 8th on 366. Oskar Motin in 9th on 342. Vitboot there 10th on 328. Van Hoorn in 11th on 324. Taste in 12th on 309. It looks like Letonen's just gone on pole. Brenny on 13th on 286 and Sullivan in 14th on 276. But Letonen on pole, just 100th quicker. And in fact, Faulkner 2/10 up now. What can he do this lap? He is approaching the final sector as well. Is he? No, he's not. He's still got a bit to go actually. But he is really pushing the car at the moment. Still a 10th up, 2/10 up nearly as well. This could be Faulkner on pole with Letonen down on this lap. And Campanella down as well. What can Faulkner do? Looks like he's lost that 10th he had into the fast left-hander he just went through. But I'm sure we can find it in this final sector. Let's compare his lap times quickly. Nope, that's the wrong one. Let's compare his lap times quickly to Letonen. So sector 1, Letonen is quicker. Sector 2, Letonen is quicker. Sector 3, once again, Letonen. Oh, that's last lap actually, so ignore that. I'll see if we can set it to best lap. But Faulkner's going to cross the line. No improvement here, which is unfortunate. But let's see if we can set that to best lap. Fastest lap. There we go. So, in fact, the qualifying session has reached to an end. And Faulkner is still on the lap. He is a 10th up actually. Letonen is in the pit, so that's his qualifying session over. Campanella is still out on track, and Faulkner a 10th up once again. So sector 1, in fact, Letonen is a 10th and a half, over a 10th and a half quicker. Sector 2, they're very even. In fact, I believe that's Faulkner who's 5,000ths quicker. And in sector 3, Faulkner is about half a 10th slower. So he's found this time he needs in sector 1. All he has to do is keep it together until he crosses the checkered flag, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it just yet. Campanella is up on his time as he exits the final corner. Sorry, not the exits the final corner. He's still got the chicane to go, but he is up on his time. Let's see, can he hold it together? It's not going to be easy whatsoever. These drivers are pushing to the limit. No, Campanella's not up on his time. I think that's going to be it. And he's invalidated. No, he would have been. He had a brilliant exit. And that's it for Campanella. And I don't think Faulkner's going to be able to improve either. Let's see what he can do. He is flashing red and green on his Delta. He needs a brilliant exit out the chicane. He needs to be pushing the car to the limit. I don't think it's going to be an improvement. So there we have it. Latonen P1, Campbell P2, and Faulkner P3. We'll be back in just a moment. We had a very close qualifying then here at Barcelona. The top two just being separated by 1/100th. And Mitchell in the comments saying, close grid, Lapria saying, who turned off the lights? Yeah, it is very dark here at Barcelona. We are currently 9 PM, so it's only going to get darker actually into the race, but that's why they have headlights on cars. But as we saw, and like I said, Latonen in P1, just a 100th quicker than Campanella. And go Campanella in P2. Faulkner in P3, using, I think he might be an idle. He's just in 6th gear, letting the car idle. Prinzi in P4, Brenior in P5, Senator in P6, Hadche in P7. Flashing his lights there, I believe. Taste in P8. Van Weasel in P9. God, that ground's loud. And Motin, the loud round off the field, in P10. Now get your predictions in the comments. Who you think's going to win the race, or who's going to finish on the podium, or even let us know who you're supporting. Sorry, Campanella making sure all his lights work there. Lieutenant Campanella, I'm sure they are good friends. I know that they've spoken to each other after the races. They've had some good battles on track as well. Lots of respect between these two drivers. It's what we like to see between the front runners, especially because usually front runners who are battling this close for a championship can sometimes be a bit hostile towards each other. But with these two, I think it's nothing but respect. And the same goes for Faulkner. These three, very respectful on track. And they're all fighting for the championship. But let's see if that will be the same as we go in towards turn 1. And Paul's saying he's rooting for Van Weasel because he likes the name and the fact he's gone off-piste in the car choice. Well, the new McLaren is very quick, but yeah, you don't see it. You still don't see it that much. But there's so many more championships that are using it. And there we go, off to a good start from Campanella. Actually, he pulls alongside and is slightly ahead, I think. No, Latonen is slightly ahead, going down towards turn 1. Prinzi looking to make it 3 wide, backs out of that. It looks like we may even be 3 wide in the background there with Paste on the outside, but Latonen holds on to the race lead going into turn 1. Faulkner looking for a move there on Campanella, and I think he might even have the inside line. Can we switch drivers, please? They are still side by side. There we go, now lets me switch drivers. But they are still side by side, and I think that's Faulkner on the inside is possibly going to get this done. No, they're still side by side, and Campanella, if he can hold it round the outside, he'll be on the inside for the next corner. And no, Faulkner's got the move done. Up into P2 he goes, but Campanella looking for a dive down the inside there. Faulkner's had to leave in the room, and I think they are going to be side by side once more. So Campanella not letting Faulkner hold him to that position for much longer, and immediately tries to go for it again, but Faulkner is once again still side by side, and I think he's possibly going to be able to hold it. No, he leaves Campanella the room, and this is what I mean by respect between these two drivers. They could have easily run each other off the road, and it looks like Faulkner is going to go for a move. No, he's not. Brakes very late though. And in the background you can see the rest of the field catching back up. Senator, this is almost 3 wide, but 2 wide here. Senator and Brenior. Brenior being on the inside. Senator flashed the lights there, didn't look to be like a bad move whatsoever, but this is a massive battle we've got going on, and very late on the brakes here from Senator, almost hitting the back of Brenier there. But it was a close qualifying session, and it's going to be a close race. We're going to have some crazy battles out on track, but Latonin's been able to pull a crucial lead to Campanella in almost 2 seconds now, and he can focus on pulling away. The battle between these two, Campanella and Faulkner, has really allowed Latonin to pull away, and that's where you have to be smart. Early stages of the race, battling like that is pretty much pointless, because you can see Faulkner has stayed in P3. Campanella is still ahead of him, but they've both lost time to the leader now, and they're all in the championship fight. So for Campanella and Faulkner, they've made a massive mistake here, because if Latonin somehow manages to consistently pull away, I mean, they're not going to catch him then, are they? So he'll be extending the championship lead, and going into the final round, he'll be a bit more comfortable than the other two. But it's still a long race. We're only 3 minutes in. And there's plenty of more action to be had here. And Hooschii with a bit of a mistake. Taste looking for a move down the inside. This is not heavy braking zone, but Hooschii falls into the trap, leaves him room, and Taste could be able to get this move done. Hooschie's going to be in on the inside. Taste has a good chance for a switchback here. It's a lovely corner for a switchback, but no, he's going to try it round the outside, and he's all over the exit curve there. So he's not going to be able to get that one done, and this has brought Motin and Van Wezel back into the fight. Let's go back to the race leader very quickly. Latonin 1.7, 1.6 seconds ahead of Campanella, who's slightly pulling away from Faulkner now. Brenier still ahead of Senator. These two made a bit of contact earlier on in the last couple of laps, but looked like elbows out, hard racing between the two. And Hooschii now going defensive, leading up towards turn one. Taste, where is he going to go? Towards the outside to open up the corner. Is he going to try an outside move here? Doesn't look like he has enough of his car there, so backs out. And Hooschii still leaves him room though. Bit of a wiggle there from Hooschii. And is Motin going to try his chances here? No, he's not. He's going to set himself up for the exit. But Van Wezel directly behind him. However, isn't able to get past. And Campanella, now the fastest lap of the race, is reeling in our race leader Latonin. 144.1 from Campanella, 144.4 from Latonin. So he's closing up slowly here, and Senator's still fighting with Brenier, but after losing that position, he isn't able to get alongside just yet. But go back to this battle for P7, and I think we might get an onboard with one of these drivers. Let's go on board here with Motin, who's got Van Wezel all over him in his mirrors as well. Top two just separated by 1.2 seconds, and the top, well, the battle for P1 is definitely not over yet. Latonin and Campanella could start battling and bring Faulkner back into the mix. Now Faulkner is still within a second to Campanella, and wow, Tate's making a huge mistake there through the final chicane, taking a bit of the sausage curb, bouncing over it and forcing him wide. But luckily there is a bit of runoff, so it's not going to really affect him down the straight. And Motin lifting a bit early, and Tate's way too late on the brakes there, almost hitting Hooschii. That was quite an interesting decision there from Taste, but he avoided that well, and he's now lost 2 positions, 1 to Motin, 2 to Van Wezel, and there we go, down into 10th place. Last position goes Taste. Huge mistake there from Taste, and just misjudged his braking point there. It's so easy to do, especially in the dark. But there we have it. Now, Latonin Still keeping that 1.2 second gap now to Campanella, but the fastest lap of the race going to Campanella, 1:43.9. And looks like Pace has got back past Van Wezel. So that position gain for Van Wezel was short-lived. But Taste all on the edge at the moment. Overdriving, I think, really pushing the car a bit too far. And almost making a crucial mistake there. And Prinzi now ahead of Senator as I head down towards turn on. But Senator, is he going to have the slipstream? He is. Is it going to be enough though? He's going to possibly look for it. No, he sticks behind Prinzi. But this is where we saw Taste go late on the brakes. But no, Senator braking earlier than he usually would. And sticking behind Prinzi. Now the top two within a second of each other. Faulkner's dropped back by quite a bit now. He's a second and a half behind. He's been lapping quicker than Latonen that last time round especially. But I think he may have made a slight error on this lap. But Campanella's been 4/10 quicker than... no, sorry. 6/10 quicker that last time round than Latonen. So no wonder he's caught right up. And it seems like Latonen dropping it in pace could be to do with tyre pressures. We saw that issue yesterday at Valencia. Quite a few drivers getting their tyre pressures incorrect. And Valencia, as we know, is a higher tyre degradation track. And looks like Taste on the back of Motin once more. We're going through the final chicane then. Latonen mounting the curbs, but still staying ahead. And they head down the start-finish straight now. Taste still in the back of Motin. And we're going to get a... oh god, you really can't see anything there, can you? But let's see as the drivers go past. I will try and sort that out for next time. But no, we can just see the drivers there. But it is very dark here at Barcelona. There are no, well, pretty much no track lighting. So we've got lighting in the grandstands. That's pretty much it. You can see the fans there cheering on the drivers as they're going towards turn one. But back to the top two. Campanella's really closed the gap now. 3/10 separating the top two. And Faulkner still unable to close the gap, but he's been lapping faster than Latonen. Once again, that last lap, he was 3/10 quicker. But for some reason, he's still dropping back slightly. 1.8 seconds when he was 1.5. So that is a bit baffling. Maybe he's making a few mistakes. Or he's made a few mistakes on this lap currently. On board with Campanella, looking for a move down the inside, doesn't go for it though, a bit too far back to make that move stick. Now we bring up the battle with Taste and Hooschii. Taste, Motin and Hooschii. Van Wezel has dropped back by about 2 seconds, and Taste down the inside there. Motin with a mistake. And Taste capitalising that on that. Up into P8 he goes. And he's back to where he was before in P8. And Campanella now, he's got the slipstream. He's got a good run out of the final corner. Surely Latonen's going to have to go defensive. He sticks towards the outside of the track, knowing that he can hold the outside and carry the speed through the corner. Look at that. He's opened up the corner for himself. But no, he doesn't go for it. Campanella now takes the race lead. Latonen not really defending his position at all there, and gifting Campanella the race lead. But maybe it could be some sort of strategy here for Latonen. He might be looking after his tyres a bit more and saving them in the first stint to then push later once the fuel, once he's got low fuel loads. And that could be a wise decision here from Latonen. Maybe he felt that he wasn't able to pull much of a gap to Campanella anyways. I didn't want to risk that, but I think it may have been a bad call, and looks like that's Brenier down in P6. He's lost 2 positions, one to Prinzi and another to Senator, and no, Latonen looking for a move down the inside there, so he is fighting back, and they've brought Faulkner back into the battle now, and this is going to get quite interesting. These three even on pace. I'm sure they're going to be battling till the end. We will get some more onboards with the drivers shortly. I'm just comparing lap times now between Campanella and Latonen. So last lap for Latonen 44.9, 0.6 slower than Campanella. That's when Campanella pretty much got past, and 0.2 slower for Latonen into sector 1. Another 0.2 slower in sector 2, and another 0.2 slower in sector 3. That's where it's pretty evenly spaced there, where he's losing time, 0.2 in each sector. Faulkner just hasn't been able to close in anymore. Still 1.3 behind. East is about a second back to Hooschii. They were neck and neck beforehand. I think Taste may have already killed his tyres at this point of the race. Although he is catching that last lap of 44.9 for Taste. Hooschii at 45.4, so 0.5 quicker, half a second that last time around. But he's had a few slides as Taste. And he's had to slam on the anchors down into turn 1 towards the beginning of the race, so that's not going to help his tyres either. We know tyre wear is very crucial in these races, although in 1 hour not so much, but you do start to feel the tyre wear towards the end of your stint. Especially if you haven't looked after them, you will be dropping off the pace, and we saw that at Valencia yesterday, where the drivers were pretty much doing the fastest lap of the race within the first 10-15 minutes of the race, and then they weren't able to beat that as the race went on, even though their car was lighter with less fuel in it. That just got to show that tyre wear at some tracks is absolutely awful, and you do need to manage them. Paul saying he will be switching car for next season. He'll be going into the McLaren. Been in the Audi for 3 years, that's a long time. And he decides he needs a change. Yeah, the McLaren's a brilliant car. It does take sort of a different driving style, but I mean, the Audi, they're both very pitch sensitive cars, so I think it'll be alright transferring from the Audi to the McLaren. But then the top 3 now still about a second away from one another. Campanella a second in front of Latonen. Latonen is second in front of Faulkner. But the closest battle we've got on track now is between Hooschii and Taste. Taste has closed in that gap once again to Hooschii. Oh, that's the wrong view. There we go. And Faulkner is now reeling in Latonen ever so slightly here. And once again, Taste very late in the brakes, and by doing so, he's compromised his exit massively. You can see how much time he's lost, nearly over a second, just by braking a bit too late into turn 1. And for the high-speed corners, you really don't want to be braking late when you're following someone. You want to be braking early and getting a good exit, slowing fast out, as they say. But we're going to have to get rid of this battle on the main screen. We're going to have to go to the battle between P2 and 3, because they've closed right up once again. And will this now allow Campanella to pull away? That is the question. They do not want to be battling at this stage in the race. I think that's the thing with the top three. Although we do want to see them battle for their own races, it's best not to. And maybe will Faulkner give Latonen a bit of a bump draft down the straight? No, I don't think he will. They don't want to be picking up any damage or taking any risks this late into the championship. Obviously they can get splitter damage if they do so, but no, Faulkner looking for a move down the inside into turn 1. He thought about it, didn't open up the corner like you see most drivers doing, so he was eyeing up a move into turn 1. At this point, there is no benefit of doing so. If Faulkner wants to get a move done here on Latonen, I think his best bet is to go for an undercut in the pits, and the pit stops. The pit window opens in about just under 2 minutes. While Latonen keeping that 1.5 gap to Campanella, so not losing too much time. I think for Faulkner, doesn't really need to battle that hard, but there is the other side of the story. Faulkner is lapping quicker than the race leader currently, a 44.2 from Faulkner and a 44.5 from Campanella. So if Faulkner can get past Latonen, he could possibly close that gap to the race leader, Campanella. But he is stuck. It's not an easy track to overtake on. And he's going to somehow have to find a way past. A gap now between P1 and P2 up to 1.8 seconds. And they are losing time here on this lap. What is it going to be? It was a 44.0 from Campanella and a 44.3 from Latonen and a 44.4 from Faulkner. So you can see he's being held back here massively. And Latonen's made some sort of mistake with his setup. Be that tyre pressures or something else. So he put it on pole. But the same thing we saw with, I think it was Tarek Adam and even Melini yesterday. They had amazing pace in qualifying and got the tyre pressures wrong in the race and were all over the shop. Really struggled for pace in the race. This is what we might be seeing with Latonen here. See Campanella is now pulling away, lap after lap. The gap starting to increase and the chances of the championship starting to slip away from Latonen and Faulkner. You can see there the rear of that Ferrari in front, stepping out slightly. And it was a bit of a snap. A snap of oversteer. But look at the closing speed now. It's not going to be enough to go for a move into turn 1, I don't think. Faulkner may be flashing his light to say, let me through. I'm quicker. We need to catch the race leader here. She is pulling away. Now 2.5 seconds in front of Latonen. I'm looking at the race, the gaps, the deltas. Benio's now catching back up to Senator after the mistake he made earlier this lap. earlier this race, sorry. Looks like Benio's made a mistake again. He's lost even more time now to Senator. 2 seconds back. And Taste still unable to get past Hooschii. He seems to catch up and make a few mistakes. And as I said earlier, he is pushing the car a bit too hard in my opinion. And that's not only going to negatively affect his tyre wear, he's going to start to get frustrated being sat behind Hooschii. That could force him to go for an early pit stop, but very different lines into turn 1 from Faulkner and Latonen. And in fact, even into turn 2. Turn 3. Faulkner using a bit of a curve on the inside to help rotate the car. And Faulkner obviously, well not obviously, but Faulkner does do some racing in real life. Mainly does sprints. They're pretty much like time attack. Be sure to check his, I believe he uploads to YouTube under his sprints. If you just search for his name, Ethan Faulkner, it will come up. And looking down at Taste as well, he's on the back of Hooschii once again. Within a second, can he keep it there? And will he have a chance of getting past? As he has struggled since the start of this race to make a move here on Hooschii. He dropped back 2 positions, made them back up, but has now been stuck behind Hooschii for a while. And it's pretty much the same story with Faulkner and Latonen. Faulkner's got the pace to get past, but just has not found a way to make the move. Although they are now lapping pretty much exactly the same times, give or take a few hundredths, to the race leader. So they don't really need to be fighting. And there we go, Hooschii now into the pits. That leaves Taste out in clean air. And if I were Hooschii, I would have stayed out. Taste is now in clean air and he could possibly do the overcut here on Hooschii. So possibly a bad strategy call there from Hooschii. I would say for a Ferrari strategy. He's got some Ferrari strategists on this team, but there's a lot of Ferraris out on track, so I don't know how well that's going to go down. We are approaching the halfway mark. Usually that's where we see most of the drivers start to pull the trigger and enter the pits. Prinzi about 5 seconds behind to this battle, and Prinzi lapping very quickly as well. The top 4, the only ones in the 44s for race pace, the rest in 45s and above. So they cannot rule out Prinzi just yet. Oh, very late on the brakes there from Faulkner. Will he decide to pit this lap? Let's see. No, he stays out. I think it's getting close to that point of, do I pit? Do I not pit? But he needs to be sure when to make that decision, because he does not want to be stuck in traffic if he pits too early. The majority of the grid yet to pit as well. I think if he does do it now, he may encounter some traffic, and that's going to only make things worse. But Breniel now into the pits. He'll drop down the order. A race leader, Campanella, 44.7 that last time round, and a 44.7 from Latonen as well. That 2-second gap staying about the same, and I think the pit stops is going to be what can change that. We always see some drivers making mistakes in the pits. It's usually a case of pit entry, they slow down too early, and also stopping in the pit box incorrectly, which can lose them lots of time. I mean, worst case, it could possibly lose you about 10 seconds, but best case about two or three. That's still a lot of time, especially when the leaders are this close on the track. And is Latonen pitting? Yes, he is. Into the pits he goes. Is Faulkner going to follow him through? No, Faulkner stays out on track. And Prinzi also stays out on track. So Faulkner now in clean air. Can he put in the laps he needs to get this position done on Latonen once the pit stops have been made? Let's have a look. As he needs something special here. And that last lap was a 45.4. He needs to be in the 44s consistently here if he wants to get past Latonen. But remember, he was about a second and a half back to Latonen just before he pitted. But it's going to be extremely difficult for Faulkner now. Try and get past unless he can put in some really quick lap times. And looks like that is Taste out of the pits, and he is actually ahead of Hooschii, so that's what I said. It was a bad decision for Hooschii to pit early. He's now about 2 seconds, maybe even 3 seconds back. Another race leader in for a pit stop, so pitting pretty much at the halfway mark to maximize the most on the on both sets of tires. I assume he's going to change tires. I mean, he's in the lead, he's got no reason not to. He's going to do 30 minutes on one set of tires and 30 minutes, maybe even less, a bit less than 30 on the second set of tires. Takes about 30 seconds to change tires and add fuel. But of course they've got the drive down the pit lane as well, and it's quite easy to speed into the pits here at Barcelona. It's very tempting to just break that a little bit later into the pit entry, and sometimes that temptation can leave you with either a stop go or a drive through. Depends how fast you've gone into the pits. Sometimes you can even get a disqualification for speeding in the pits, but that's quite difficult to do unless you don't brake going into the pits. And let's see, Faulkner still out on track. Prinzi also still out on track. The gap between those two has come down slightly, down to 3.6. It was about, what, 4 something seconds? 5 something seconds? So Prinzi is closed in on Faulkner. Faulkner, no, he's constantly been in the 145s. Prinzi's been in the 144.6s, which is some brilliant pace. Motin now out on track. I reckon Quincy could have left it out for a bit longer. What are the drivers doing who pitted? So Senator still out on track, the only driver yet to pit. So the drivers who pitted, Latonen, this is his out lap. Where's Campanella? Campanella did a 151 last time around. So quite a slow lap there for Campanella. But he's still about 3 seconds ahead of Latonen. Now where is Faulkner? He's not got going just yet. Quincy as well, still in his box. And I believe, is that our race leader? Yep, it is, coming down towards turn 1. Where is Faulkner? He's off the limiter now. Has he got ahead of Latonen? Looks like I think he has, going down into turn 1, so that's crucial for Faulkner. And he's now got the chance to pull away from Latonen and catch the race leader. So he's done the job in the pits. And now it's time for him to hunt down Campanella, who's about 3 seconds in front. A bit more than he would have hoped for. But it's still possible in 26 minutes, which is lots of time, if he's consistently lapping quicker, even if it's a tenth or two quicker than Campanella every lap. It is enough time to be able to close that gap down and start putting some pressure on the race leader. Senator now in the pits. Where will he come out on track? He was battling, well, he was ahead of, who is he? Brennio, but Brennio is down in P10. What has happened to him? He's had a horrible race. Started in P5. He's gone down 5 positions, back to last place. Lots of time lost there for him. Now Faulkner aiming to pull away from Campanella. Campanella doing a 44.2 that last time round. Well, no, with his outlap, so that won't matter. Senator out of the pits in clean air, no one near him whatsoever. But I do know why. The 151. We were talking about the 151 lap time from Campanella. That was actually going into the pits. Obviously, they have to cross the start-finish line even when they go into the pits. So it was registered as a 151. Faulkner still being hassled here by Latonen. A bit wide there for Faulkner. Getting possibly a track limit warning for that. It was beyond track limits. Or unsure whether it was a warning or it was a no time gained. Now, I've also noticed some of the drivers, only a few of them, aren't running their endurance lights, which is very interesting. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, that is Latonen, who we're on board with, is running his endurance lights, so that's the highest brightness on the lights, and you've got the blue light in the cockpit as well. And for those that don't know, obviously blue light helps you stay awake, so in endurance racing, that's why this light setting is called endurance, it helps the drivers to stay focused for long hours. So that's the reason behind the blue light in the cars. And I believe one of our admins, Van Hoorn, who does race in this championship, has had issues with his equipment. He also takes part in a lot of endurance races and has his own blue lights on his rig. So lovely feature there. Help him stay focused as well. Let's see if we can get a different angle. There we go. Just so we can see the car ahead, which is Faulkner. Faulkner's pulled about a second now to the turn. It looks to be a bit less than that, actually. But it might just be the camera angle. And I think it possibly is. Faulkner not catching the leader at this rate. And actually, Campanella has done the fastest lap of the race. That last lap, a 1:43.6 from Campanella. That is brilliant pace from him. That's a whole 4/10 quicker than Faulkner. And is that a drive-through penalty? I think it is. Let's have a look. No, it's a stop go 30 for speeding the pits. Oh no, Faulkner is going to drop right down the order. And actually, we've got to take a look at the standings. Let me read them out in a moment. So he's going to drop down. Well, I believe obviously we have our drop round. So let's try and have a look. He's going to be sat in the pits for a while now. We'll go to Hooschii, who's a second and a half-ish to taste currently, but having a look now at the standings. So yeah, Faulkner's worst finish of the season was P4, so I think this will possibly be his drop round unless he can somehow manage to make his way back up into fourth place. But I mean, that's not going to be easy. I'm not even sure how far back he is at the moment. He's, oh, there we go, it's come up now. Yeah, he's so far back to P4. That's a long way to go for Faulkner. He's down in P9 currently. It's going to be quite difficult for him now. And I think that will possibly be his drop round. His worst finish of the season has been P4. So it's been nothing but podiums for Faulkner. Nothing, in fact, for Letona's worst finish of the season was P4. Apart from that, nothing but podiums. And the same for Campanella. His worst finish was P6, but apart from that, he's had 2 P3s, and the rest have been wins. But let's see, Faulkner 9 seconds back to Van Wezel. I think he should be able to get that position done. To catch Motin, that's going to be a bit of a stretch, I think, in 20 minutes. The pit window now closed. It's not going to be an issue for any of the drivers out on track. Going into the last round then, Faulkner's going to need something special if he wants to take a championship win. If he's going to get his points for that P4 finish, and this drop round will move to this round. Hooschii 2.5 seconds to taste. Unable to catch, made the wrong strategy call in the pits. And he's now behind Taste when he was in front. But Faulkner now 8.6 to Van Wezel, so he's catching quite quickly. He's closing about a second in 2 minutes or so. He has a chance of catching up to Van Weezer and overtaking him. I think that's possibly, realistically speaking, that's possibly the best he can do with the pace he's lapping at the moment. If he can somehow lap quicker than that, or if Motin makes a mistake, he could possibly get a position off of him. At the moment, he'll be aiming for P8. Unless, of course, Hoorn tries to go for the fastest lap. Because then he'll pick up an extra point. And I'm actually unsure whether the extra point is counted in the drop round. I will have to check. But if it's not, that could be a good idea for Faulkner to pit, because this will probably be his drop round anyway. But Faulkner could think about getting some fresh tyres and going for the fastest lap of the race. But it's going to be tough to beat at 1:43.6. There's a very quick lap time here at Barcelona. Drow saying, let's go Motin, let's go. Packham saying, used to race with a red light, but got some random blokes keep tapping on his window. Yeah, they must be wondering what party's going on in there. Yeah, Drow Motin's currently P7. He started P10, so he's had a good race so far. Up 3 positions, which is positive for him. But he's not really... Actually... Yeah, no, he's not really... It's 18 seconds back to Hooschii, so a long way to go. So I think for Motin, all he needs to do now is bring it home. As well, as our season is coming towards an end, we will be having some off-season events. So they are free to enter and everything. So if you're interested in having a go, there's nothing on the line. There's no skill set you have to have, just for a bit of fun. So if you are interested in joining, then feel free to do so. Be sure to join our Discord. I believe, is the link in the description? I'm not actually sure it is. If it's not and you want to join, just let me know and I'll put it in the comments. Or just head to our website, thesimzone.com. That should be in the description. And you can then join the Discord through there. But yeah, Hooschie's lost lots of time to taste here. He's down almost 5 seconds, and Campanella is just lapping in the 43s consistently. 43.9 that last lap from Campanella. He's pushing at the moment when he doesn't even need to. But will that pose some risks for Campanella? It definitely can, but I mean, he's not really made any mistakes this race so far. The only thing I can think about is track limits. We've got Jack in the comments saying he's just waiting until Dave appears in these lobbies again. Dave races on the Friday Championship, so that's tomorrow. And I believe he is racing tomorrow. Let me just double check. If he is. Oh, I'm not actually sure yet. Might not be. But he does race in that championship on Fridays. I think. Let me just make sure. Yeah, he does. So tomorrow is where you'll probably see him, Jack. And Prinzy, who we haven't really spoken about too much, he's had some very good pace. And actually Prinzy, a 43.9 that last time round, he is pushing at the moment. He was 4/10 quicker that last lap than Latonen, and he is pushing to catch P2 here. You can see Latonen just in front, and it's very possible that he can close this gap if Latonen makes a few mistakes and possibly gets a slow lap. And that's wide for Prinzy. That was beyond track limits. Could have been a warning there. Not too sure. But the only drivers that have been in the 43s have been Campanella and P1, who has rode off into the distance, and Prinzy in P3. And Prinzy started on the second row in P4. So he's definitely got the pace to stick with the top driver here, Campanella, in this race. But there's more in it, I think, for Prinzy in the qualifying session and throughout the race as well. I think up in the first stint, he just wasn't quite there. Now he seems to be really pushing the car and putting in the laps he needs. 3.6 seconds still to Latonen. He was only a 10th, or actually nearly 2/10 quicker that last lap. There you go. You can see the lap times then between the two. Campanella 44.3, Prinzy a 44.2. It does actually show me that yeah, so Prinzy was quicker than the race leader that last lap, and quicker than P2 Latonen. See there, almost 2/10 quicker than Latonen. So he is slowly catching, but I think this lap he's not been as quick. Let's see what he does. And where is... oh, yeah, Faulkner has retired from the race. This will be his drop round anyways, so that's stop go 30. Really putting a halt to his progression in the championship. With just one more round to go after this. It's all in the line between Campanella, Latonen and Faulkner. And yeah, Prinzy about 4 seconds now back to Latonen, so the lap times have dropped. He was slower than Latonen that last time round. And that's what Prinzy really needs. He needs to be consistently lapping those very, very quick lap times, low 44s. possibly into the 43s. And then he'd be able to catch Latonen, but he can only do it for one lap. It's not really going to gain him much over the race distance. So, pretty spaced out here. And he's not really catching up too much to Latonen and Campanella with some crazy pace here at Barcelona. Outstanding pace from him as well. And it was so close in qualifying between Campanella and Latonen, just 100 separating the two. But Campanella was able to get past, and I'm still very surprised that Latonen let Campanella go so easily. Didn't really defend his position that hard. Kept to the outside of the track, going down into turn 1. And while Campanella had the slipstream, had the overspeed, and didn't allow Latonen to keep it around the outside, so pretty much just got let through there by Latonen. And ever since, he's been able to pull away. But let's see if we can get an onboard with our race leader when he starts the next lap, and that's a bit of a mistake there from Campanella. Got to be careful, he doesn't need to be pushing the car at the moment. There's a risk for a drive-through penalty for track limits, and this is what I was saying earlier when he was doing those 43s. He's got more than a comfortable enough gap to Latonen. He does not need to push the car at the moment. But I'm sure he knows what he's doing. I think that may have been wide once again. Maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. Campanella needs to be very careful here with track limits. He could even be on his last track limit warning. That's where it could completely ruin his race. And if he picks one up now, in the last 5 minutes, all that hard work pretty much goes in the bin. But here we go, on board with Campanella, heading down towards turn 1, using the green part on the left to open up the corner, and using the inside curve as well, making sure he hits the car around, and you travel less distance by doing so as well. Using a little bit of curb, I would have used a bit there, but just to help the car rotate slightly. Campanella once again opening up the corner. Down to second, short shift. I think down to first, sorry. Short shift up to second. Down to first once again. On the power nice and early, using all of the runoff. This is where we saw him run slightly wide the previous lap. Down 2 gears. Oh, he messed up slightly there. But usually down 2 gears. Using all the track once again, and this is a heavy braking zone, this next corner. This is where we usually see the most moves happen, and it's a brilliant overtaking opportunity, not only for a late move down, well, not late move, for a move down the inside, it's also a brilliant corner for a switchback. And looking at the gap between Prinzi and the turning down to 3.3. I'm down slightly, but lots of time to be made. And Campanella once again running wide. He's got to be very careful here. He's taking way too many risks when he doesn't need to be. But you can see the Tonins close the gap to Campanella a bit on that last lap. We saw Campanella make a few mistakes. So that's why the gap has come down slightly. 45.3 that last time round for Campanella. 44.5 for the Tonins. 8/10 quicker, yeah. 8/10 quicker. And looks like Prinzi was 44.5 as well. Well, we will be on to the last lap then. Once Campanella crosses the line. And of course, not much action now in the race. We had lots of action at the start. But for next season, I'm sure we'll have many, many more drivers. Usually the case in summertime. I think that's a bit of a mistake we made with running too many championships in the summer. Like if we ran one or two or three, it probably would have been completely full. But when spaced out over quite a few in this weather, it is difficult to fill up. In fact, we filled the championships up quite nicely. Just people have started to go on holiday and other commitments do arise towards summertime as well. Campanella, all he needs to do now is bring it home. You can tell he's not really pushing the car in the turn-ins, closing that gap down. Well, it doesn't really matter. As long as he's not over 5 seconds slower this lap, he should be perfectly fine. And I believe that's Brenior. No, is that Senator? No, it's not. It is Brenior. That Campanella is catching up. Campanella now is coming up towards the chicane for the last time this race. And approaching the final corner. Outstanding performance there from Campanella. No one was able to touch him this race. And there we go. Crosses the line to finish P1 of the penultimate round of the MOZA Racing GT3 Championship. Returning crossing the line in P2. Prinzi with a brilliant performance as well in P3. Senator in P4. There we go, Senator happy with that result, finishing in P4. Taste is going to finish in P5 after quite an up and down race for him. Dropped back quite a few positions and gained them back towards the second stint. And there we go, flashing lights on him as well. Hooschii is going to finish in P6, Motin P7, Van Weasel P8, and Brenior in P9. So we will get some interviews from the drivers once they make their way back to the pits. But make sure to stick with us and we'll be back in just a moment. Right, let's see who we've got up for an interview then. Looks like we've got the usual suspects, so we'll bring in Letonen first. Tough race for you. Qualified and pole by just 100th, so qualifying was already very, very close. And then going into turn 1, tell us what happened. It seemed like you left the inside open. Did you think you could hold it around the outside into turn 1? Campanella just seemed like he sailed past.
I didn't really have anything planned for turn 1. I just went in and we were actually talking with Campanella while driving. So I didn't know. Yeah, I just went through and yeah, nothing much to it.
Yeah, so he gains a bit on you on this round, but it's still going to be very, very close going into the final round, which is Kyalami. Did you feel the pressure then going into the final round? And do you like Kyalami as a track?
I think the pressure was more for this race because until this point we were so close in points, but now Campanella has a bit of a lead, so I'm not sure if the last round will do much, but we'll see. Anything can happen. And yeah, Kyalami, it's okay, but last time I drove the Ferrari wasn't too quick, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we will see. And I think it's going to be all on the line for the last round. Obviously,
yeah, for sure.
I think if you ended up finishing P1, Campanella P2, it would be a 2-point difference. Campanella took the fastest lap of the race as well today, so it's still going to be very close. I think you need him to finish. If you finish P1, you need him to finish P3. So
exactly.
Yeah, you're gonna need something.
Yeah,
maybe
it's
Faulkner,
really close.
Or the likes of Prinzi, who was very quick today as well on that Porsche, to get close enough to challenge Campanella. But
yeah, I've actually seen that the Porsche is quite quick at Kyalami, so
yeah,
might be a chance there. So I don't know, we'll see. Quite excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a great season finale, and we wish you the best of luck for the last round, and we will see you then as well.
Yeah, thanks. See you there.
There we have it. We've got, let's bring in Prinzi now. Luca, brilliant driving from you.
Hi.
Hello, you had some really good pace this race in the Porsche. I think you had the pace to keep up with the leader, really. Your best lap was a 1:43.9, which was the second fastest lap of the race. So you definitely had some pace to keep up with the top three. But I think just not enough time left in the race to catch up to Letonen in the end.
Yeah. It's, but the start in reality was very difficult because I didn't want to risk anything in the first laps. I don't find the race pace immediately. As the lap went by, I started hammering. And in fact, toward the middle of the race, my lap time was already very, very close to the leaders. And yes, the race was too short.
Yeah. You needed more time to catch up to Letonen. You were catching him towards the end, actually. But
2 tenths by 2 tenths by 2 tenths.
Yeah.
Very little by lap,
little.
But
Yeah.
But it's okay. Third place, I take it.
Yeah, very good result. And next round, Kyalami. Porsche's going to be quick there as well.
Yeah.
Do you think you can get another podium?
By Kyalami is my second best circuit for me, and I like it very, very much. So I think I can take a good result too.
Yeah, it's lovely to hear. We look forward to seeing you next round, and hopefully another podium from you as well.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and we will see you then.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So we've got one more driver to interview, the race winner, Campanella, who's busy sharing his screen to the other podium drivers, but I think we'll bring him over now. Here we go. Campanella winning the race, extending the championship lead over Letonen, and well, it was a very good performance from you. After you got the overtake done, you just managed to stay ahead and pull away.
Yes, absolutely. A nice race on my side. After the overtake, I started doing consistent lap times until the end, getting even the fastest lap. I had also a nice battle in the first lap with Ethan, which was really nice. We left each other just enough space to fight. And then yeah, I got behind Timmy, overtook him, and managed my race as I want to.
So we did see you towards the end pushing the car a bit too much, going invalidating and going beyond track limits. Were you on any track limit warnings, or
The one
One,
at the end of the race, I was trying to get still the fastest lap. Because I knew I had like a 0.5, so just to secure that point, which means even bigger championship lead. But the result was going off track a little bit too much. I had even to lift a little bit to not get the warning, and so wasn't really benefiting from it. But at the end, I got still the fastest lap, so I'm happy with it.
yeah, you take the extra point anyways. Now, final round, Kailami. You need to finish, well, even if you finish one position behind Letonen, you still take the championship lead. He needs to finish, I think, 2 places ahead of you to win the championship. Now, at Kailami, there's going to be a lot of competition there. Are you feeling any pressure, or are you a bit more comfortable going into the final round now that you've extended the lead a bit more?
No, I'm a little bit more comfortable because I know I have a little bit of a bigger championship lead, but it's not that much because it's if he only finishes, as you said, if he only finishes 2 places ahead, I lost the championship. So it's really close and tough until the last lap, last corner, until the finish line. So it's going to be absolutely exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy end to the season, and that's what we love to see. But congrats on the win today, and we will see you at the championship finale next round.
See you next round. Bye bye.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was it for round 7 of the MOZA Racing Championship. We'll be live tomorrow for the Track Day Championship, and that will be the last round of that as well. So make sure to tune in then. Same time, 8 PM. But from us, good night and take care.